I started off at college. I decided to take film studies and media studies just as an extra A-level really. I wanted to go into psychology, funnily enough, and I really enjoyed it, and my teacher told me that I should go to uni. There were courses on TV production, that it was an exciting route. It wasn't something I'd really thought about doing, but I did end up going. I went to London to study TV production and media, so it was a little bit of both practical and theory. And then after that, I finished uni and then had to find my way really, and I applied for a lot of jobs. I think I sent out hundreds of emails, my CV, applied for jobs online, didn't really hear back from a lot of them, which is standard. There's a lot of people trying to get into the industry. And then one day I saw an ad in Bristol for Deal or No Deal, and they were looking for runners and production management assistants, that kind of thing. And I applied for that and ended up being a runner, and that was my way in really. So I was a runner for them for a year, stepped up to production secretary, and then eventually got into the BBC. I worked for a variety of companies outside as well, just to gain experience. And I applied for a job as a production manager with the BBC about a year and a half ago, and that's where I am now. Admittedly, when I left uni, I had no idea about production management, which feels like criminal now, and I don't think they necessarily talked about it enough. So I didn't really know about the role, and when I was at Deal or No Deal, I think it was, you could either go towards being a researcher or production management, and my skills just fitted in with production management. So I fell into it, is the honest answer, but it definitely felt like the role for me. So I didn't think that's the route I'd go down. I actually wanted to go into editing, funnily enough, but sometimes you can just go a completely different direction and you go with it, and that just seems to be the right fit. A production manager is somebody that manages a production in its simplest form, but that can vary from you manage a team, so you're in charge of staffing that team, working out how many people you need to achieve the programme that you've got to make. You manage a budget, so you have to forecast how much money it's going to take and how much time it's going to take, and you have to manage that throughout. So if your production starts changing, you have to manage your budget so that it changes, and sort of report whether you're overspending or underspending, try and save money where you can. And then there's lots of other aspects that come into production management as well, such as health and safety, helping to sign off risk assessments, making sure that everything you're doing is compliant. It's a really wide variety of tasks and skills. I'd say production management is one of the most critical roles. If you weren't there to keep everything in order, it just wouldn't happen. And because your skills are sort of lent to budgeting and managing a big team, if you weren't there, then nobody would be able to communicate effectively. People wouldn't know where they were with the schedule. People wouldn't know how much money they were spending or how much they had left. So it's probably one of the most critical roles on a production. You're the person that's there at the beginning and right at the end as well. Managing finances within a production is incredibly critical. You only get a certain amount of money, and that is your budget. You can't go under and you can't go over. Well, you can go under, but if you do, it's not necessarily a good reflection of what you could have done with that money. So it's equally as important to come on budget and be aware of the money you're spending. If you go over on one area of the production, that has to come out of somewhere else. So if you could save on certain areas, that will help you out in the long run. If I was to give advice to somebody that wants to go into PCing or PMing, I'd say keep going with it, even if it feels like it's quite a difficult job to get into. It is less competitive than editorial routes that you might want to take. I would say you need to learn about the job that you're doing, start developing skills in budgeting, start working with Excel, start becoming confident in those programs. And I would say it's a really good path to take. It will keep your career going for a long time, and you'll find that you'll be employed for big blocks of time. You probably won't have many breaks as a freelancer. So if you're looking for something sort of secure with continuity, that's probably the best role to go into with television. I come across graduates quite a lot, and yes, I would employ graduates. If they had the right skills and the right level of confidence, I would certainly employ them. I'd say it's always a good idea to start at the bottom, so that might be a runner or a production management assistant. You'll gain a really wide variety of the industry, so you'll understand what everybody's role is. But I would definitely employ a graduate. I think it's good to have somebody fresh, enthusiastic, someone that can bring new ideas to a team. Want to learn Pro? Come join us on UniPro.